governance. If properly leveraged, the convergence promises both much needed, broad based dharmic ethical revival and end to reactionary forces in our culture and polity. India has been experiencing a fundamental churn in its vision of itself. While much attention has been devoted to Hindutva movement, a far broader cultural and civilizational revival coinciding with the opening of Indian economy post 1990s has mostly remained under the radar. Two recent surveys on the extent, World Value Survey 2021, Nature PEW Research Center 2021 of religiosity contains three significant findings. One, India is outlier among nations, the most significant exception to the global trend since 2007 of declining religiosity. Two, within India, the continuous salience of broad-based dharmic identity. Three, Indians across every religious groups, including Muslim and Christian, caste, education level, age, and religions, were near unanimous in what they believed were on the top national problems. These were in order of decreasing importance: unemployment, corruption, crime, violence against women, and communal violence. We believe that the coincidence of these two observed phenomena are unusually strong revival of religiosity in a rapidly modernizing in India, and the cross-the-board agreement over specific governance concerns 75 years into our independence is a robust finding. Ethicon Institute and published by Brookings Institutions. In it, we explored what a dharmic approach to governance might imply, to what extent since independence India had or had not followed such a course. We believe that civilizational essence of the Hindu tradition is captured in its understanding of truth and related notion of dharma. The quality of governance must accordingly be judged by its ability to sustain the conditions conducive to the observance of dharma at all levels. The principal source of modern Hindu outlook on truth and governance are found in the first revival, sparked by the writings of Raja Ram Mohan Roy and carried forward by leaders such as Tagore, Vivekananda, Aurobindo Ghosh, Aurobindo Gandhi, Sri Aurobindo, Gandhi, Radhakrishnan, Rajagopalachari. They shared three common beliefs. First, Hindu society was suffered through a long period of cultural moral debasement. Second, the ability of Hindu society to govern itself and would require broad-based social and moral regeneration. Third, revival of Vedic dharmic, philosophical and ethical roots of Hindu society was essential to such reforms. The complex and many-sided Hindu view of truth means that legitimacy of governance cannot be found on truth claims. It rests instead of government's ability to enable and empower individuals and their different constituencies among governed to follow their own dharma. Policies must permit the various economic sectors, agriculture, industry, trading to function as smoothly and harmoniously as possible to enable the creation of wealth. In turn, it implies the maintenance of law and order. Polycentric nature of truth and dharma. If upheld, it promises a return to governance that it is rooted in the Hindu civilization values, but yet preserves the best aspects that have come from the West, such as separation of state and religion. Such a balance would strive to restore within the modern 21st century polity, economy and society an order that promotes the attainment of dharma for all Indian citizens. Next article that we are moving into is related to peace hope dim because Ukraine draft deal unacceptable Russia. Kremlin has said talks with Ukraine are not processing as rapidly as it would like, has accused West of trying to derail negotiations by raising crime allegation against the Russian troops in Ukraine, which Moscow denies. Lavrov said on Thursday Ukraine had presented a draft agreement on Wednesday that deviated from proposal both sides negotiators had agreed on. Ukraine's new draft, according to Lavrov, said the status of Crimea, which Moscow annexed from Ukraine in 2014, should be raised at the meeting between the two countries' presidents. Next article that we are moving into is related to France. Le Pen shrugs off dooms mongering over Sunday's poll. French far-right candidate Marine Le Pen shrugged off market jitters triggered by her good ratings ahead of Sunday's first round of presidential election, saying her serious program was meant to work for voters rather than markets. Le Pen scoffed at what she called doom-mongering, telling the RTL radio on Thursday. Opinion poll shows purchasing power is voters' top concern amid a huge increase in the energy prices and growing inflation. Le Pen has focused her campaign on that. Survey shows voters are unhappy with Macron's economic policy, but unemployment is at its lowest in years. And as those polled don't think any of this opponent would do better. Next article is related to U.S. Senate confirms Ketanji Jackson to top court. Ketanji Brown Jackson was confirmed by the Senate on Thursday as the first black woman to serve on the Supreme Court, in a milestone for US and a victory for President Joe Biden. Next article that we are moving into is related to Indonesia's palm oil crisis. World's largest producer and exporter of palm oil is facing a domestic shortage, leading to price control and export curb. What explains the situation and what are the implications for India? It's rare for our country, for any country that is largest producer and exporter of the product, to experience domestic shortage of the same product. So much so as to force its governments to introduce a price control and curb on shipment. But that is previously the story of Indonesia vis-a-vis palm oil. US Department of Agriculture has estimated the archipelago palm oil production for 2021-2022 at 45.5 million tons. That's almost 60% of the global output and way ahead of the next bigger producer, Malaysia. It is also world's number one exporter of the commodity at 29 million ton, followed by Malaysia 16 million ton. Yet the country has seen domestic prices of branded cooking oil spiral from around 14,000 Indonesian rupiah to 22,000 IDR per liter. February 1, Indonesian government imposed a ceiling on retail prices. These were fixed at 14,000 IDR per premium. The price caps, however, led to the product disappearing from supermarket shelves amid a report of hoarding and consumers standing in long queues for hours to get a pack or two. Besides domestic price control, the government also made it compulsory for exporters to sell 20% of their planned shipment in the domestic market. The first phase has to do supply disruptions, man-made, natural in other cooking oils, especially sunflower and soya bean. Ukraine and Russia together accounts for nearly 80% of the global trade in sunflower oil, quite comparable to 90% of share of Indonesia and Malaysia in palm. Ukraine on February 24, which is going, has resulted in the port closure and exporters avoiding Black Sea shipping routes. Sanction against Russia has further curtailed the trade in the sunflower oil, the world's third most exported vegetable oil after palm and soya bean. Soybean oil too is facing supply issues due to dry weather in South America. Supply tightness in sunflower and soybean from war and drought respectively has in turn transmitted to palm oil. Second factor is linked to petroleum. More specifically, the use of palm oil as a biofuel. Indonesian government has since 2020 made 20% of blending of diesel with palm oil mandatory as a part of the plan to slash the fossil fuel imports. Country's domestic consumption of palm oil is forecasted at 17.1 million ton, of which 7.5 million ton is for biodiesel and the balance 9.6 million ton towards household and other use. Palm oil is getting increasingly diverted for biodiesel, is leaving less quantity available both for domestic cooking oil and export market, said B.V. Mehta, Executive Director of Mumbai-based Solvent Extractor Association of India. Next article that we are moving into, before that, there is what is the impact on India. Let us see. India is the world's biggest vegetable oil importer. Out of its annual import, 14 to 15 million ton in lines shares of palm oil, 8 to 9 million ton, followed by soybean 3 to 3.5 million ton, sunflower 2.5. Indonesia has been India's top supplier of palm oil, though it has been overtaken by Malaysia in 2021 and 22. To that extent, the world's more so, the bigger importer India will have to get used to lower supplies from Indonesia. Next article that we are moving into is related to what is United Nations Human Rights Council, whose memberships Russia has lost. United Nations General Assembly on Thursday suspended Russia from United Nations Human Rights Council as a part of the global response to alleged war crimes in Bucha, Ukraine, where bodies of more than 300 civilians have been found over the withdrawal of Russian forces. The Council, it is an intergovernmental body tasked with strengthening, promotion and protection of human rights. It makes recommendation on human rights violation and can discuss all the human rights issues and situations. The Council, which replaced the former United Nations Commission on Human Rights, was created by United Nations General Assembly on March 15, 2006. Membership. The Council is made up of 47 United Nations member states elected by United Nations General Assembly. Africa and Asia Pacific states have 13 seats each. Latin America and Caribbean states 8. Western European and other states 7, Eastern European states 6. Member states serve for 3 years. The council has 5-person bureau consisting of president, 4 vice president representing one of the 5 regional groups who serve for a year each. Current president is Federico Villegas of Argentina. Eligibility. United Nations General Assembly takes into account the candidate states' contribution to the promotion and protection of human rights as well as their voluntary pledges and commitments. Next article that we are moving into is related to draft guidelines for registration of doctors. All existing procedures will continue until the licentiate exam called next begin. As per the guidelines, Indian medical graduates have to complete their MBBS degree from recognized college, complete a mandatory 12-month internship and pass it to be implemented next national exit test for getting their registration. What about foreign graduates? Foreign medical graduate, anyone who has earned his or her degree from the institutes outside, have to complete their MBBS equivalent degree from the medical institute recognized and listed by NMC in other countries, be eligible for registration in the country, complete 12-month internship in India and pass the same next exam as graduates from India. How will next work? Next in India is similar to United Nations medical licensing exam in that country. The exam will act as a country's side standardized test for passing MBBS, for granting a license as well as qualification test for post-graduation courses. Students will now have to appear for next at both these stages. Next article that we are moving into is related to PANDA. IRDA looking at review of norms to widen market may allow micro insurers. IRDAI, the Insurance Regulatory Development Authority of India, is reviewing 100 crore capital, which is minimum requirement for any new player to begin as an insurance venture. We are thinking of allowing micro insurer players with 10 crore or 15 crore capital, which can work in focus areas like a district. IRDAI is planning to review a gamut of guidelines and bring down the number of guidelines from around 100 to 10 or 15 guidelines. The regulation will be principle based rather than rule based. Next article that we are moving into is related to digital banking unit norms 24/7 OPS in tier 1 to 6 centers. A DBU, that is digital banking units, is a specialized fixed point business unit or hub housing certain minimum digital infrastructure for delivering digital banking products and services as well as servicing existing financial products and services digitally in self-service mode at any time all year round, RBI said. The commercial bank other than RRB, payment banks and LABs with past digital banking experience are permitted to open the DBU in tier 1 to tier 6 centers unless otherwise specifically restricted without having the need to take permission from the RBI in each case. This is what all about. That's all. If you like the video, please do share, like, comment and subscribe. Thank you.